Hey guys, Prangell Gaming here, and welcome back to another Talk to Wall. This is the 46th instalment, and before we get right into your responses, any questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 45 instalments, then why not go check them out? There's going to be a link in the description down below for the last Talk to Wall. Alternatively, if you have missed an episode, then click that I button and you can catch up with anything you may have missed. Now, just as a heads up, this week is the final podcast I'm going to be doing this season, and so in doing so, I'm going to be reviewing all the leagues, including Premier League, Championship, League One and League Two, talking about the sides that went down, and obviously talking about the playoffs and what I actually feel of all the sides that actually everything happened to. Now, that does obviously mean that we won't be covering anything that happens for that Wembley trip, but I will have content that actually comes out addressing that. And in terms of reviewing the team, I do have a video that hopefully will have either gone up before this or after this, depending on how quickly I can get that edited. Now, the only person to predict for Scunthorpe United's last game, obviously where we played them at Glanford Park, was Thomas Gadsby, and he was miles off that scoreline. He said that Scunthorpe would win 1-0. Now, before we get into the comments of this video, I want to quickly ask a question. Now that teams are starting to announce a release/retained list, there are a few players that have obviously been released, transfer listed, etc, etc. And obviously one of those players is Charlie Ragland. He's been released by Chesterfield, a player that I've hoped that Millwall could go and sign. Now my question to you is, who would you sign out of the players that have been released for Millwall if you could? I'll leave a link to a page that has all the information about each club and who they've released. You might have to click each separate link, but there'll be a page that should be linking them together if I can get one together. Into your comments, and we're going to start with Harry Greenaway, and he said, I mean Noel Leighton. Yeah, sorry. And well, to be honest, mate, everyone gets it wrong now and then. I've got it wrong a few times. In terms of pronunciations, probably where I get it wrong. But yeah, it's not a problem. I check the players out before I go into the podcast. So it's not a problem whatsoever. Riley Solo is the next person to leave a comment, and he simply said, Q Sirrah, Sirrah, whatever will be, will be. We're going to Wembley. Q Sirrah, Sirrah. And I think it's quite fair to say he is thrilled about going Wembley. I've got my tickets and I will be going. Will you guys be going there? Maybe I might see you. Let me know what's happening in the comments section down below. Even though there isn't another podcast, I will still be having a conversation with you guys. Harry CD was the next person to comment as he talked about a rumour that he had heard. And he said, I've heard it's a done deal that Joe Martin will be leaving in the summer. I think we probably need a new left-back in that case. As much as I do like Tony Craig at left-back, I don't think he's physical enough to make the step up to the Championship. What do I think? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Martin left, to be honest, as I reckon he can be a guaranteed starter for at least a side in League One. Obviously, he does have poor disciplinary records, and yes, he will get yellow carded quite a lot. But at the end of the day, I think Joe's still a fantastic player. And if he does leave, do we need another one? No, I don't think we do. I think that Noah Cheeseman can play there, Fergie can play there. We'll be perfectly fine. Obviously, they're not strong enough, but you never know. We like to promote within, and I think it'd be really unfair to go out and get another left-back when Noah is sitting there and he deserves the opportunity to start playing. Joe Holloway was the next person to comment, and he said two things. The first was, wow, Jadams, you need to chill, mate. No need to turn this into Arsenal Fan TV. And the other was about Ivan Toney. And so what we're going to do is just start by saying, let's not turn on each other. Seriously, I know some people have split opinions of Harris and split opinions of how well this season's gone. Let's not go ahead and start complaining to each other. At the end of the day, we're still going through the same thing, so it shouldn't matter. And well, the thing that he said about Ivan Toney was, quick word on Tony, he's going to dive in a minute. He's going to dive in a minute. He's going to dive in a minute. Joe got a response actually from Liam Gaming 2, who said, ha ha ha, that's funny. I'll get Ivan Pony and a diving board for Christmas for you. And he said, I do mean to say pony. To which Joe responded, haha, Tom Daly, he's coming for you. And finally, Liam ended with, ha ha ha, quality. He's like a submarine, dive, dive, dive. Haha, Wembley, here we come. Liam was in fact the next person to comment, but before we say that, he obviously has a couple of chants he wants us to cover. And those are, oh, Stevie Morison, meh. His next chant is, no one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care, we are Millwall, Super Millwall, we are Millwall from the den. This was followed up by Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory. And then after that it was, oh, Aidan O'Brien, oh, Aidan O'Brien. And the second to last chant was, he's one of our own, he's one of our own. Ben Thompson, he's one of our own. And the final chant was, super, super nil, super, super nil, super, super nil, super nil, Harris. First and foremost, Liam said, Q Sirrah, Sirrah, whatever will be, we're going to Wembley, Q Sirrah, Sirrah. And so, like Riley, I think he's also very happy to be going Wembley. And quick fact just on where we're going Wembley, this will be the 7th time that I've actually gone to the fantastic stadium that is Wembley Stadium. I've been 5 times already with Millwall. Obviously, we've got Scunthorpe, Swindon, Barnsley, and now Bradford. That'll be 5 times. And also, obviously, I went to a tournament called the Wembley Cup, which obviously Spencer FC runs. So I've been there quite a few times now, and I really like the stadium. I haven't seen the national side play, so I think that's the next thing I want to do. Liam's first question was, who do you think should be the penalty taker? And I've actually said a few things on this before, and well, really it's to do with the fact I don't think that the penalty taker should be a striker. I really think that the strikers should have to score from open play or from a corner or a free kick if they get onto it, because then they're physically moving for the ball. Where you're going with a penalty, it's sometimes just a luck of the draw, and well, it's a 50-50 chance on whether you're going to score it or not. And well, Gregory's got a lot of penalties this season, and I would much prefer if someone like Sean Williams or a midfielder could go and take penalties. His second question was, do you think Tom King should be number 1 for Millwall? And no, not at the moment. I do like Tom, I'm not going to lie. I think he's a pretty good goalkeeper. However, he's too inexperienced. And as much as I complain about Jordan Archer, and he has cost us quite a few in recent weeks, I still think he's the more experienced keeper of the two. So King, if he's going to be there, he's got to be battling him in the background, and they've got to challenge each other. I don't think that King should outright be the Millwall number 1 at the moment. Do you think Steve Morison should be the captain at Wembley? No would be my answer quite simply to this one. And well, the reason why is, regardless of whether Tony Craig or Steve Morison has the armband, the person that's said to be the captain should have the armband. And at the moment, that is Tony Craig. Steve has had the armband a couple of times. And while Tony Craig did come in and take the armband off of Steve Morison when Morison was the captain for quite a long time, I think it's safe to say you would disrupt the team by changing the captain towards obviously going to Wembley. I just don't think it would be right. Liam's second to last question was, do you think that Aidan O'Brien will stay? And I actually do feel there's a chance that he will stay with us next season. Obviously, I feel he can play in the Championship, and well, he would probably want to be playing as a striker. And with them chances, perhaps he could go to the Championship and he could leave. I'm hoping he's going to stick it out with us because he loves it at the club, like most of the players that are actually with us. The final question that Liam asked was, do you think that Gregory will be there next season if we don't go up? And well, yes will quite simply be my answer, because we took Gregory from the conference to, at the time, the Championship, and no other club did that. Plus, if he wanted to leave, surely he would have gone to Rotherham. I'm not going to lie, Rotherham ain't exactly a fantastic club, but they were in the Championship and he had his opportunity and he stuck by us. He said that that was all a lie and he was never going to go there. He never handed in a transfer request. So if that's true and he didn't want to, like I believe it is, I still think he'll want to stay with us. As the season is basically over, apart from the playoffs, I do want to take this time to talk about each side from Premier League to League 2. Now, I don't mean each side, but the sides that are affected by relegation, playoffs, or even promotion. And we're going to start with the Premier League. Obviously, 3 sides were relegated. Sunderland, Middlesbrough, and well, Hull actually got relegated today. That's so unfortunate. I did so much like Marco Silva, but hopefully he won't be staying with the club and he can go to someone better in the Premier League. I really hope he stays in the Premier League. He looks a very young and great, exciting manager. Now, in terms of Middlesbrough and Sunderland, well, Middlesbrough, when they went down, they lost to, obviously, Chelsea. So, the fact they lost to Chelsea, that isn't a problem. But many knew this was going to happen. They scored 27 goals in 37 games. And when your top goal scorer is Alvaro Negredo on 9 goals, you really do wonder why you'd expect to be staying up. I mean, he's on 9 goals. If you take from February against Oxford, I believe, when they beat him in the FA Cup, and total it up to around about now, sometime then they would have only just got about 9 goals. As for Sunderland, well, when your manager really says you don't stand a chance of staying in the league, it doesn't look good. They had 9 lives. They've used most of their lives up. They've gone down, and, well, in my opinion, I think David Moyes is the perfect guy to take them down to the lower league and obviously rebuild them from the Championship. If they can keep hold of Defoe, you just never know. Maybe they might return again to the Premier League. But one thing I will say is it's been on the cards for quite a long time. Now, as I said, Hull City have been relegated. Marco Silva's side, he was so close to keeping them in the league. And obviously, that thumping of Crystal Palace just destroying them ensured that Palace will stay up. And obviously, Swansea were doing well and looked likely to stay up regardless. So, Hull obviously losing 4-0, it's bad for them, but really they were in trouble from the start. When they didn't sign players in the start of the season and when Mike Phelan left, it just didn't look good. And so they've had issues from the start. Marco Silva, had he come in a little bit earlier, I think he probably would have kept him up, like what happened with Rafa Benitez and Newcastle. Moving on to the Championship, and obviously the winners of the league are a side that were pretty much expected to go up. I mean, let's be honest. When you still have Rafa as your manager, and if you didn't go up, I would be very surprised. Yes, Newcastle obviously won the league. Now, the thing that I would say is they were expected to win it, and if they didn't win the league, it would have been a huge surprise. They almost missed out on it. But the fact is, with the stars that they had already and the rebuild of the club that Rafa did with Championship quality players, maybe a couple of them are a little bit better, but they are Championship quality players. I think that it's pretty safe to say they deserve to go up. Now, the thing is that I wonder, are they going to do as good next season, or are they going to have to spend a lot of money and got rid of a few of these players that actually just got them there? Brighton and Hove Albion are the side that finished second, and, well, they will more famously be known for the fact they literally had to win, and they would have won the Championship title with 7 points clear of Newcastle with 3 games to go. You expected them to go ahead and actually win the league, but they didn't, and, well, obviously getting to the Premier League, that's a huge achievement, their first time in their history. But I just think they will feel slightly upset by that. I'm so happy for the club getting there, though. And I think that with Stockdale in goal, Dunk in the defence and Knockaert on the wing, they could be a pretty interesting side to watch. They probably will have to spend money, but it might be interesting. I hope they stay up next season because it'll be really nice for the football club. As for the playoffs, Reading face Fulham and Sheffield Wednesday face Huddersfield. And if I gave you my opinion of who I expect to be meeting in the final, I'd say that it'd be Fulham and Sheffield Wednesday. But I do have a sneaky suspicion that Sheffield Wednesday are going to be going to the Premier League. And it's just due to the fact their quality and strikers up top. They have Jordan Rhodes, they have Stephen Fletcher and Sam Winnall. My word, what an attack that is. And, well, this is no wonder why they've been in the promotion battle. When you have quality like that up top, it really is frightening to defend against. And I really hope they don't stay down if Millwall stay up, or actually go up, should I say, because that will be very hard to defend against. What about the sides that will now be playing League One football? And, well, I'm going to start with Blackburn Rovers, the side that was so unlucky. I'm going to be honest, I honestly thought Tony Mowbray was going to keep him in the league. It went down to the final day of the season, which was a lot better than I think fans actually expected when he took over. A lot of fans had a mixed few ideas on him, but the fact is, when he came in, they were expected to go down, and Mowbray's record for Rovers was simply brilliant. Even though he got them relegated, he won 5, drew 7 and only lost 3. My word, that's fantastic. He picked up 22 points. The club only got 51 points all season. I'm saying only as a fact of that's a small tally. It's actually quite a lot of points to go down by. But the fact is, they had 29 without Mowbray in charge, and he only managed 15 games and he almost kept him in the league. He seemed to make a huge difference for the club. The other two sides that went down are obviously Wigan Athletic, and they went down due to poor management and obviously not having the reliability of goals from Will Grigg, and that sent the club down. And, well, due to the fact they have inexperienced managers like Gary Caldwell, and they then got someone else in, and then they decided to the fact that it was going to be hard to keep them in the league, as they let their caretaker manager, I believe his name was Graham Burrow, stay till the end of the season. And with Rotherham, who went down towards obviously finishing 24th, they had an absolutely terrible season. And I think it was coming for a very long time, a bit like when Millwall got relegated. And well, the fact is, they actually looked better when they had actually been confirmed that they'd been relegated. They actually won quite a few games. They got some decent amount of points. I actually thought that was quite a funny thing to say. Sheffield United and Bolton Wanderers will both be returning to the Championship, and I feel that for United the pressure has finally been lifted, and well, they have been down for quite a while now. They deserved to go up this season. They have been an absolutely phenomenal side and got the best out of players like Billy Sharp and John Fleck. I'm still so upset that John Fleck went to Sheffield United. I said for ages Millwall need to sign him, and well, him and Billy Sharp were obviously the two basically main key players for Sheffield United, and well, I hope good on them. I hope they really do well next season. As for Bolton, I think that one transfer really dictated their season, and that's the fact they signed Mark Beavers. And a lot of people may say Mark Beavers wasn't a reliable defender, and to be fair, I would probably agree with you at points. I didn't really like Mark Beavers, but he seems to have got the best out of his defensive partner in David Vita, and they've become a feared defensive partnership. Between the two of them, they've scored 15 goals. I am not kidding you. That is sensational. And the fact is, Gregory and Morison have both each only got 18. That ain't far off of one of their goal scoring tallies. That is a pretty weird thing to see, that your defenders are getting the goals, but that shows good confidence going into the Championship. Now, I'll avoid the League One players, just due to the fact it's actually self-explanatory. We know who already are there. I will either have a prediction involved in my season review, which will either be a day before this or a day after this. Again, I don't know when this is actually going to be going up. I'm hoping to either get it up on the Monday or the Tuesday. You guys will know when it's up because it's actually up on the channel. Now, into the sides that went down. You obviously had Chesterfield, who somehow, I don't know how, so don't even ask me, they finished lower than Coventry. Yeah, a pretty poor season, and to make matters worse, they lost one of their key players in Ched Evans, who's actually returned to Sheffield United. Now, Coventry, money problems obviously hit them. That's what meant they got down, but the fact they won the Checkatrade Trophy is just something to celebrate, I guess. As for Port Vale and Swindon, they had a few points in the season where they actually looked like they could go on and actually stay in the league. And, well, Gillingham and Bury just managed to stay in the league. I was, as much as it's bad to say, I was really hoping that Gillingham would go down, because I think that their managerial change, changing the whole backroom staff and everything, that really caused problems. And sometimes it just shows the motto that you don't change things when they're actually not too bad, because they will have a better season next year, and I hope they do, because I really hope that they actually get rid of Adi Pennock, or if they're going to stick by him, make some decent improvements. I mean, Josh Wright was great this season, but the fact is, they really were a lot worse than what they should have been. And, well, I really thought that they should have gone down due to the fact that they sacked Justin Edinburgh, and I don't think he deserved to be sacked. I think they were doing perfectly fine at the time he was sacked. As for the sides in League 2, Portsmouth deserved to win the league title, and actually won it 10 minutes after being at the top of the table. In my opinion, that is brilliant, and Fordy obviously managed to get his hands on that title, and they're rebuilding towards the Premier League return. As for Plymouth, it's great to see them overcome their woes from the playoffs of last year, where they just missed out to Wimbledon. And for Doncaster, John Marquis fired them to success. The former line obviously was fantastic, and I do wish him the best in League One. I hope he's finally going to become that fantastic striker, because he had the work rates to do it, he just never hit it off in a Millwall shirt. As for the playoffs, Luton will face Blackpool and Exeter will face Carlisle. In my opinion, it will be a Blackpool versus Carlisle final at Wembley, with Blackpool being able to return to League One for the first time of asking. The last place of course is the relegation zone for League 2, both with Hartlepool and Leyton Orient being relegated. It's a shame for Orient, obviously they've just been run into the ground, and as for Hartlepool, I also think it's quite sad for them. They almost stayed in the league, obviously with their striker Rodney scoring his first 2 goals for the club, but obviously Newport County got a winner in their game and that did relegate them. I was watching the game obviously to try and see if Portsmouth could win the title, and it was devastating to watch if I'm going to be honest. Before I go, Millwall did win 3-2 against Scunthorpe last Sunday. I believe that you would already know this by now, but it's thanks to Steve Morison getting a double and obviously Lee Gregory scoring that we're going to Wembley. But Millwall didn't actually make it that easy for themselves to go through. Obviously, Tony scored and we had to come from behind. And then Stephen Dawson's goal, my word, what a strike. And I actually thought they would nick another and get back into this game. But as Morison did get that double and an assist, I think it would be fair to say he deserves the Player of the Week. Now into our final section of the podcast, and that is the Millwall news. And this week we have 4 stories ranging from the way that the Checker Trade Trophy will be run next season to the ticket allocation Millwall have for Wembley. And well, our first port of call is that the Checker Trade Trophy will keep the under 21 teams or B teams in the actual trophy itself after they were voted and the majority saying that they wanted them to stay here. However, there is one significant rule change, and that is meaning that the under 21 teams have to field at least 6 players that are under the age of 21. Obviously, some of the clubs were using some more experienced members of the teams. I believe that Kurt Zouma actually played for Chelsea's side, which is a little bit unfair. He is a very good defender. The second story is that Jimmy Abdu said he'll be hoping to get into contract talks with the Lions after their trip to Wembley. Abdu said that it's been his priority staying with Millwall. He loves the club and he ended it by saying he really hopes they can get this win at Wembley on Saturday. The third story of the day comes from Alfie Pavey, as the striker has actually been released by the Lions. And obviously with it coming towards the end of the season, clubs are starting to announce their release and retained list. Charlie Raglan has been released by Chesterfield, and another interesting one is that Marcus Maddison has been placed on the transfer list by Peterborough United. The final story of the season is that Millwall have a ticket allocation of 37,623 tickets for the playoff final at Wembley against Bradford in our League One playoff final. I've got my tickets. Have you got yours? If not, go and get them. It's going to be a fantastic day. Fingers crossed we can finally get back into those championship. So that is all we've got time for today. Can I apologise if this podcast has run over? It's looking that it could be a little bit longer. Hopefully not too much longer. But obviously I will be reviewing Mill's actual season with giving a breakdown of my ratings of the players, talking about the players out on loan, 4 points that actually shaped our season, and more in a review video that I hope you guys will go and watch. But obviously, can I just thank you so much for the support through this year of the podcast. And obviously, I will be making a few changes to this podcast, maybe getting someone else on, hopefully getting some graphics in. And so obviously, we'll come back, we'll fight strong, we'll be back next season regardless. League One or the Championship, it doesn't matter. So until next season, I have been Prangell Gaming. Like, comment, subscribe, and of course I will be seeing you guys next season. But until then, goodbye.